now my privilege to introduce to you our commencement speaker. Jerome P. Facher is a senior partner and general counsel in the Boston law firm of Hale and Dorr. Mr. Facher is a magna cum laude graduate of the Harvard Law School, where he was an editor of the Harvard Law Review. Before joining Hale and Dorr in 1959, he was assistant to the department counselor in the office of the Secretary of the Army, and later served in Paris as U.S. delegate to NATO's Infrastructure Committee. At Hale and Dorr, Mr. Facher specializes in trials and appeals before state and federal courts. Within the firm, he is a member of the Antitrust and Trade Regulation Group, the Environmental and Toxic Torts Group, the High Technology and White Collar Crime Group. He is the former chair of the firm's litigation department. From 1962 to 1991, Mr. Facher was a lecturer at the Harvard Law School, teaching a course in trial practice. Mr. Facher is the author of numerous articles on Massachusetts practice and procedure, and has been a frequent lecturer and seminar participant on matters relating to trial practice, evidence, procedure, and the continuing education and training of lawyers. On 2 occasions, Mr. Facher has been appointed by the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts as special counsel to the Judicial Conduct Commission. Mr. Facher has served on the Massachusetts Judicial Nominating Commission. In 1980, he was appointed by President Carter as the chair of the First Circuit Nominating Commission. He is also chair of the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts Standing Advisory Committee on the Rules of Civil Procedure and a member of the Academic Committee of the Flashner Judicial Institute. Mr. Facher is a fellow in the American College of Trial Lawyers, a member of the American, Massachusetts, and Boston Bar Associations, and has served as an academic visitor at New College, Oxford University. While Mr. Facher specializes in large-scale commercial litigation in the fields of securities, antitrust, and intellectual property, he is probably best known to the general public for his successful defense of a major corporate client in a 5-month trial charging the company with responsibility for a number of deaths and severe injuries alleged to have resulted from the contamination of 2 public drinking wells in Woburn, Massachusetts. The trial became the subject of a national best-selling book entitled A Civil Action, and the book was later made into a movie of the same title, featuring Robert Duvall in the role of Jerome Facher. I mention the book and the movie not because the case or the public attention it has received is particularly central to Mr. Facher's distinguished career, but instead because the first law school assignment for this year's graduating class was to read that book over the summer and to arrive on campus prepared to discuss it. In a sense, the law class of 2000 has known Mr. Facher for 3 years. And being the thoughtful and careful lawyers they have come to be, when the time arrived to choose their commencement speaker, they wisely chose fact over fiction. That is to say, they chose Jerome Facher over Robert Duvall. Certainly, fact and fiction is frequently confused these days in the work of the mass media. Important but uninteresting facts are usually casualties. Now, I can tell you that Jerome Facher has a bit of a reputation for frugality. In the movie, for example, the plaintiff's lawyer stages a lavish breakfast meeting at the Four Seasons Hotel to discuss possible settlement of the case, but at the same time intending to appear well-financed for going forward in the litigation. While Mr. Facher quickly rejects what he views as an unreasonable settlement proposal, as he walks out of the banquet hall, he stops to ask if he can keep the hotel pen that was laid at his place and stuffs a muffin into his pocket. Well, I can also tell you that Jerome Facher is not frugal when it comes to good causes. Just last week, he was honored by his alma mater, Myers High School in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, for setting up a major scholarship program to assist students from working-class families attend college. Finally, let me bring to your attention one of Mr. Facher's lesser-known skills. While at Myers High, Mr. Facher was a baseball player of some renown. And perhaps more importantly, he went on to become the star pitcher on his firm's softball team. I am told that whenever he pitches for the firm, he wears a tie-dyed psychedelic t-shirt. The word is that with these wild colors, Mr. Facher is able to pitch his team to victory through guile and distraction rather than overpowering speed. Whatever his technique in softball, there is no question that Jerome Facher's enormous success and reputation in the legal profession is based on great skill and high integrity, and I suspect more often accomplished in three-piece suits than in t-shirts. It is my great pleasure to call to the podium Jerome P. Facher.
Thank you, President Elrod, Dean Grunwald, Dr. Hill, Professor Marion, friends of the graduates, my friends, faculty on Washington and Lee, and the 122 future lawyers of America. This has been the most glorious weekend for me that I can remember in decades. This is an absolutely wonderful, lovely spot, and I'm honored and thrilled to be here in this setting and among this company of scholars at a very great law school. This is a year of fame and fortune. This is a year of opportunity. This is a year of glory. This is a year to remember. But enough already about the Red Sox. I've come here to talk to you. In 1999, as second-year students, you asked me to speak here today. I was then in about my 14th minute of my 15 minutes of fame, which came from a case that I tried in Massachusetts, but more likely from a book which chronicled that case, and perhaps even more likely from a movie called A Civil Action, in which I had, I guess it was a good fortune, I'm still not sure, to be played by Robert Duvall, who was a much better me than me. So much better a me was he, that he was nominated for an Academy Award, a feat which even I have not yet accomplished. But I'm trying. And I said to him, after the nomination, that he had played me and I had made his career. And he said to me in his soft Virginia drawl, "Like hell you did. I made yours." And so he has, because I'm here today and he is not. So now that you are in your third year, and as I said to some of you last night, there is nothing wiser than a third-year law student, as you all know. Now that you are wiser, you may be regretting your judgment in inviting me and not Robert Duvall. Let me reassure you, you have picked the right man for the job. I know what I need to say to you, and I know what you need to hear. And unlike some commencement speakers, I am not going to profess my unworthiness to speak to you or question the value of what I have to say. What I have to say has value, and you ought to listen up. I know as lawyers, you will much prefer an honest arrogance to a hypocritical humility, and that's what you're going to get. Last year, you were addressed, your predecessors, your class was addressed by the Chief Justice of the United States, and you received, or they received, the view from the pinnacle of the legal profession. This year, now the third-year class, not unmindful of the future, you are getting a view from the trenches where you are about to enter, a view of a working lawyer in the trial courts of this country. None of you is likely to be Chief Justice, except maybe Michael A. Below, who walked off with a trifecta on Friday afternoon. But apart from him, you are all likely to be in the trenches as litigators, as corporate lawyers, as government lawyers, as sole practitioners. And I want to talk to you about what awaits you as you enter your profession in the 21st century. And I want to talk to you briefly, not as briefly as you would hope, but briefly, about what will matter most to you and what will make all the difference in your career. And I see David Brown down there muttering, "It's the money, stupid." And I hear another voice saying, "No, it's the casual attire on Friday." No, it isn't. It's not the money, and it's not clothing that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to talk to you about two things that will matter to you and will be important to your life as a lawyer: reputation and excellence, and how these will affect your life. Reputation and excellence are qualities I'm passionate about, and so are you as graduates of this institution. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will be more important to you than your reputation. Whether you're a litigator or a corporate lawyer, town council, a district attorney, a government lawyer, or out on your own, integrity is the rock on which your career is going to be built. Loss of reputation is the greatest loss you can suffer. And if you lose it, you will never get it back. Whether other lawyers or judges or clerks or commissioners or zoning board members trust you and take your word, whether you're straight with your clients and everyone else, whether principles and people matter to you, whether your adversaries respect you, whether you are honest, fair, and civil, whether you have the guts to stand up for what you believe in, these are some of the hallmarks of integrity. And personal integrity is at the heart of every law career. You can't get it from a book. You can't get it from a computer. You can't even get it from a commencement speaker. You have to live it and practice it every day with every client, with every lawyer, with every judge, and with every person you come in contact with. And if your reputation for integrity is alive and well, so will be your career. Remember this: on the day you start your career as a lawyer, your reputation is spotless. From that day on, you hold your reputation in the palm of your hands. Keep it spotless. Defend it. And you will keep safe one of the two foundations for having a satisfying and maybe even a happy life as a lawyer. And what is the other foundation? It is excellence and the striving for excellence, something this school and you know a lot about. Excellence matters in every situation, all the time, for every client. You will have no unimportant clients. Excellence will make a difference to each of them. So never stop striving for excellence, and never stop striving to be the best lawyer you can be in every situation all the time. Does that sound too grandiose and abstract for you? Does it sound too much like your high school commencement speaker? Well, I can quickly translate it for you to the concrete, just as it will be quickly translated the first hour of the first day you start to work as a lawyer. If excellence requires that you revise or redraft a document the fourth or the fifth time, do it. If excellence requires another hour or 2 or 3 to prepare a cross-examination, do it. If you have not found the right case authority, keep looking. If you have not read all the documents, read them. If you have not found the right word or the right phrase, think harder. If you have not mastered the technology, study longer. If you do not know the basics of your craft, master them. And remember, there is no substitute for craftsmanship, no substitute for attention to detail. These and others are the hallmarks of excellence. And if excellence requires that you cut down a 3-hour commencement address to 22 minutes and 37 seconds, do it. And I hope I will have done it by the time this address ends. And like integrity, excellence does not come from a book or a computer or even the internet. It comes from you and from the kind of lawyer that you want to be. And let me share another professional secret with you. Judges and colleagues and partners and other lawyers and the public recognize excellence. They know it when they see it, and so will you. And to share another truth, believe it or not, excellence and financial success usually go hand in hand, and so it will be with you. And speaking of success, as a commencement speaker, my obligation is to pass on to you other wise precepts that I have for you, as Polonius had for Laertes. Probably not quite as trite, I hope. And does the law school still teach Shakespeare? No? It's a great course, I recommend it. But I do have some precepts for you. Try not to be too astounded that people will actually pay money for your advice. Someday, you may even be worth it. Once in a while, unplug the cell phone from your ear. Unplug yourself from your computers. These are not body parts. You were not born with them. You can actually live for a while without them. And do me 3 favors as tiny little symbols of excellence. Don't use impact as a verb. I don't want you to impact anything. I want you to make an impact. And please, don't pick anyone's brain. It is a very ugly phrase and a very messy procedure. And finally, in my wise precepts, try not to be a pompous ass. There are too many of us already. To these bits of practical wisdom, if you want to call it wisdom, I would add a serious note about the institution you are leaving and the profession you're about to enter. You owe this law school more than you realize, more than you can ever repay, especially for instilling in you the respect for excellence and integrity. I want you, and you want for yourself, to practice law to be a credit to this institution. Teach excellence, not just as a teacher in a classroom, but in your law firms, in your corporations, in your government entities. Wherever you are, train others to carry on the tradition of excellence. You have made, and this institution and you together have made, a great start in your striving for excellence and in your standards for integrity. But let me tell you frankly, it gets much tougher from here. You are going out into the real world of the law. The stakes are higher. The problems are harder. You are not dealing with law school hypotheticals. You are dealing with real people whose honor, whose property, whose liberty, and whose life is in your hands. And your reputation for integrity and your striving for excellence will be your strong allies in meeting that responsibility to your clients. And they will be your greatest strength in meeting another responsibility that you have just incurred. And that's the responsibility to honor and defend the profession you are now entering. It comes as no surprise to you that our profession is under fierce attack. From outside the profession, we are told that public opinion of us is low. Cheap shots and ugly lawyer jokes are everywhere, and bad lawyers get more attention than the good we do and the people we help. Websites for locating lawyers are called sharktank.com. And even associates, would-be lawyers have added to the scorn with websites called greedyassociates.com. I hope you will change all of this. From inside the profession, we hear from lawyers who say they are burned out, and from some sorrowful academics, none over there among your faculty, but sorrowful academics in other institutions who tell you that we are no longer wise advisors, that we are lost lawyers, that it is unthinkable that anybody would choose a legal career today. Yet you are here, and I am here, and we are here to tell these gloomy messengers that they are wrong, and that we have faith in this profession, and that we're proud to be part of it, and that each of you is ready to honor and defend it every day. Because whatever you've heard from those preaching doom and gloom, and whatever all of you out there have heard from those preaching doom and gloom about lawyers, the law is still a noble profession with noble players. The law is still an exciting and challenging profession where you can puncture pomposity and phony rhetoric, where you can challenge conventional wisdom, where you can question assumptions. It is still the bastion of independence. It is still the last refuge against scoundrels and charlatans and humbugs. We are still, we of the law, we are still defenders and crusaders, problem solvers and consensus builders, conciliators and dispute avoiders, advocates and adjudicators, and architects and builders of those great institutions, the law, that keep us and protect us and maintain our freedom. And what is more, the law, the profession, is still fun to practice. And it is still a place where you can do well and you can also do good. So despite endless wringing of hands, you and I and we are not lost lawyers. We have not forgotten the ideals that brought us to law school and to this profession. Those ideals have not changed. What it takes to be a great lawyer has not changed. The precious commodities of reputation for integrity and striving for excellence have not changed. And we are not burned out. I confess, I am not burned out. I cannot go from first to third on a single to right field. But give me a file, a document, a witness, and point me toward a courthouse, and I will be ready for trial. And so are you. So are you ready for trial in this great profession. You are lucky, lucky people, special people going to a special profession. So when you are asked, and you will be asked, what do you do? Say, I am a lawyer, and say it with enthusiasm and with pride and with passion. And through your reputation for integrity and excellence, do your part every day to restore the luster to the profession that the detractors have tarnished. In closing, aren't those the two sweetest words that you've heard this afternoon? In closing, I want you to know that I have something to say to your parents and to your grandparents, who are probably more of my generation. To them I say, you too are lucky, not just to have free legal advice, but to have your sons and daughters here today, and to be able to say with pride and joy and enthusiasm, my son, my daughter is a lawyer. And one final confession. I want you to know that I have strived for excellence in this, my maiden commencement speech, and maybe my final commencement speech. But I have strived for excellence. I will be happy, though, if you say of it, it was a good speech, but it was too short. And so, to all of you, my thanks, my congratulations, my respect. I tip my cap to all of you. What the hell? I throw my cap to all of you. Be great lawyers. Strive for excellence. Have great careers. Godspeed to all of you. Thanks. Thank you.
Mr. Facher, you did not give a good address. You gave an excellent address. You achieved your goal.